I'm just waiting on the draft, and then I can send it to you. And by the way, hold on, Kevin, can you? Sorry, Kevin's my legislative aide. He's going to give you his card. Okay. She has an issue with money with the sandbar.
Yeah.
My balance is right over there.
I don't mean it. I look forward to. Go ahead.
We are absolutely. We met last week
Okay.
Awesome, great, thank you so much.
All right, guys.
No.
Take your seat. We're gonna go ahead and get started.
No, but you're right.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We are pleased to welcome Commissioner Micky Steinberg for this evening's Q&A conversation. As Miami-Dade County Commissioner for District 4, Commissioner Steinberg represents Bay Harbor Islands and many surrounding communities. And we appreciate her taking her time out to join us tonight. This is a valuable opportunity for our residents to learn more about her role, the role she plays with the county, and how local and county government work together on issues that matter most to our community. Tonight, we're going to have a question and answer session. Questions will be asked primarily by Councilmember Rappaport and answered by our commissioner. After the question and answer session is completed, we'll open up some questions to our audience.
Well, thank you, Commissioner, for being here.
Hi.
You and I both ran for the first time in 2022. It was a little bit more successful for you than it was for me at that time, but thankfully I'm here. So tell us, to begin with, tell us a little bit about yourself and what is the role of a county commissioner?
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me here tonight. It's an honor to be here, and thank you to all of you who came out. I know it's not easy. It's spring break, and it's we're Wednesday. There's a lot going on, so thank you for taking the time to be here. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Micky Steinberg. I was first elected actually in 2013 to the Miami Beach Commission, where I served for 8 years. And that's really where I got well, we'll get into more in depth as to some of the particulars as to what drives me today, looking through that local lens as I look at everything that we do regionally. And then in 2022, after I finished my term at the City Commission, I did run for the first time for the county. It was an open seat, which hadn't been, we didn't have an open seat for many years. Now the county actually has term limits. So, and I did run, and it was a really amazing journey. And in order for me to get anything done at the county, how many colleagues do you have?
We're 7 on the council.
You're 7. So we are a body of 13. And so that means I need to have at least 7 of my colleagues to support any initiative at any given time. And I'm thankful that I do have a great working relationship with my colleagues. And so in terms of the county, it does differ from local, and I know we'll get into that a little bit, but we do focus more regionally.
Okay. So, you know, most of our residents understand if they have an issue, they come to the council, they come to the town hall to speak to the town manager. What's the different role of the county commissioner, and you know, what are the responsibilities vis-a-vis, you know, the municipality?
You know, it's similar in some ways, and it's different in other ways. You know, as a city commissioner, I always had an open door policy, which I carried through at the county. But the, you know, day-to-day is a lot more intensive. And when I was at the city, I focused solely on the city priorities. Now, for those of you who don't know, the district that I represent actually encompasses 13 municipalities, either in whole or in part. And I also have 3 large unincorporated areas. So how many of you by show of hands, who knows what an unincorporated area is? Okay, so that is an area that doesn't have the same local government, doesn't have their own local commission and city manager. Their police force is the sheriff's office. Their mayor is the county mayor, and I am their only other legislative person that they can come to. And so that does take up a lot more time because we really want to make sure that those areas who don't have their own government are taken care of. And so we really try to work on making sure we bring everybody into whatever we're doing, bring them along for the ride.
Nice. So you're a city council member as well for the unincorporated areas,
Correct.
so to speak.
Correct, but so for them, I will focus on the things that they need daily, whether it's traffic calming or whether we're looking at flood mitigation, which we also partner with our cities, which we'll get into. But then, in terms of the other things that I do for my municipalities, we help facilitate. So if there are any services that you all need help with, I am there to help facilitate, make sure that you get to the right people, make sure that we get whatever issue you have solved, if it's a regional level. And some of our regional assets are quite special. We have the airport, we have the seaport, we also have the zoo, to name a few. And of course we look at traffic and transportation countywide. We look at holistically, regionally, how can we try to solve whatever issues are coming, with always thinking about how are we going to better your quality of life.
So can you tell us a little bit more about how your role, countywide affects Bay Harbor Islands directly?
Yes, okay, so for Bay Harbor, for instance, right, Bay Harbor Islands, you have your own local police force, you have your own zoning, you have your own, local road maintenance, you have your sidewalks and your lighting, your local parks. At the county level, we would focus more on, for instance, an interlocal agreement with the city of Bay Harbor Islands. So while you have your own maintained roads, there are things that you want to do. The county controls some of that. So we enter into these ILAs, which is an interlocal agreement, where that gives you the ability as a municipality to put your own traffic calming, to go ahead and look at the speed. I sponsored something to allow cities to take a look at their own speed levels, so that if they need to address what the speed zones should be, you now have that autonomy to do that, provided that your ILA is updated, and we make sure it's updated and make sure that that gives you the autonomy to do that. Otherwise, you would have to come to us. Our team at the Department of Transportation and Public Works would have to do the evaluation for you. So it gives you that opportunity.
So tell us a little bit more about the resiliency and the infrastructure and the flooding. Some of the issues that are really important to our residents. Traffic mitigation.
Yes, all fun things.
Yeah.
They're all good things too. Actually, for me personally, as I said before, since I was a Miami Beach commissioner, and everybody knows coastal communities really do deal with a lot of challenges such as flood mitigation and flooding. You have stormwater flooding, sea rise. We really tackled it head on. So I brought that same determination to the county. What you may not realize is some of the county is still on septic, okay? And we're working on converting septic to sewer in some of the county. And my district as well has septic, and which doesn't help the bay, which doesn't help anything. So when it comes to flood mitigation, we each get a different designated district allowance in a sense, let's for simpler terms, that helps us operate our offices. In my office, because I wanted to be financially responsible and I wanted to make sure that we were looking at what really impacts people, we actually are allotted, let's say, 10 positions that I could hire. I said, you know what, that seems excessive to me. If you hire the right people and you can be where you need to be, I would rather use those dollars instead of hiring another person to actually look towards making sure that we are using those dollars for flood mitigation, for making sure that we are putting in the right infrastructure. which I know is painful to do, causes some headache, but at the end, the whole system should be upgraded and really help everybody. So we took the allotment of what 4 positions would be, and we made a special legislative item to give that money back to the general fund and earmark it specifically for flood mitigation in my district and for septic sewer conversions where needed, so that we actually use the dollars to help you guys.
That's great, thank you. Are you currently serving on any of the committees in the, tell us about some of those. I'm sure it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so the county meets twice a month. We have our Board of County Commissioners twice a month. And we also meet as the board of the CDMP and zoning, Comprehensive Master Plan and Zoning, once a month. And that is only for our unincorporated areas, right? People will come in, they'll have an application, because again, we are the local body for our unincorporated. On top of that, I actually do chair the infrastructure committee, which is a great fit for me because I really do care about our infrastructure. So it's the Infrastructure Innovation and Technology Committee that I am chairing currently. I'm also the chair of the Biscayne Bay Watershed Management Advisory Board. I'm vice chair of the Recreation, Tourism, and Resiliency Committee. Again, you see a theme there. I'm also a member of our Appropriations Committee. I'm a member of the Biscayne Bay Commission, and I serve on the Miami-Dade Transportation Planning Organization Board, which, by the way, all my colleagues serve on that particular board, along with municipalities that have a minimum of 50,000 residents.
Okay. So if any of the municipalities have a large infrastructure issue or something that they want to get funding for,
Yeah.
is that something that they can come to the county committee?
So the county does not have necessarily grants in that sense, but what we do is we partner with our cities to see where we can find and identify those dollars, either partner with making sure that we can help you fill out the proper grants either at the state FDET or at the federal level. And if it's a project that that we feel will actually help also the greater region, we will work towards trying to find those dollars. But to that end, that's why I created the municipal grant program, so that we could try to find a little, alleviate a little bit of the burden that some of the cities are going to be facing, and let the cities earmark what they feel those dollars should go towards.
So what does the county invest in its municipalities as
Yes.
vis-a-vis, let's say, the state or federal money? In other words, what are the priorities for the county when it comes to their cities needing parks or
Well,
other
we'll
things
be a
like
co,
that?
we will go in and we'll be a co-signer, let's say, on some of these applications.
Right.
We, honestly, for me, okay, you have a strong mayor form of government, so the administration does dictate a lot of the policies in terms of some of the things that the administration might do, but we as a Board of County Commissioners set the overall policy. And a lot of the things that I think our cities care about, we care about also. And so we are aligned in a lot of that to make sure that we can work together in identifying funding, on partnering, on finding matches and dollar matches to make sure that all those issues that you are concerned about get addressed. Yeah,
So what are your priorities for the for District 4?
there's so
I mean,
many.
13 cities and 3 unincorporated, you said?
Yeah, I have
So
4
16.
unincorporated communities.
Right.
So,
What would you like to see? What do you want to
well, so
accomplish in our district?
there's a lot that I feel like we have been accomplishing, and there's a lot more that we'd like to accomplish, obviously. I'm raising my family here, so for me, quality of life is number 1. I want to make sure that when they graduate from high school, and whether they leave or come, that they always come back, that they are able to afford to live here, that their quality of life isn't diminished, that they can get from point A to point B in under an hour, and that they don't have to worry about flooding. I mean, for me, I've been really trying to make sure that we are doing everything possible not to kick the can down the road. I have a finite amount of time to get things accomplished. And, not to take away from anything any of our predecessors have done, but unfortunately, some of the things were not taken care of in a timely manner, which only built up the issues that we have to deal with today, which are more costly and take a long time to accomplish. So while we start setting the things in motion today, we're hoping to see that, you know, we're laying the groundwork now to hopefully have the fruits of that in the future.
So if a resident feels that they'd like to come in front of the county commission,
Yes.
what's the best way for someone to go ahead with that? To contact you, or
Yes.
is it through another office?
Okay, so before you leave, please get one of my cards. They have contact information of different services that the county has, from animal services to our libraries to parks, but it also has my number and email. And call us if there's an issue that you want to, we're very accessible. If there's an issue you want us to go ahead and help you with, we'll absolutely do that. And if it's not in our jurisdiction, we're happy to help point you and facilitate where it could potentially be resolved. In terms of the way the county commission works, we have a chairman of the county commission board, and the chairman is the one who basically appoints us to whatever committees and will allow for whatever agenda items to be placed. They have full control of the agenda. It's very interesting and fascinating. It's very different than the local municipalities. And they do have what's called reasonable opportunity to be heard at the beginning of every commission meeting. It usually has to be germane to an item on the agenda. And then you sign a little card and you can come and speak. And there's always opportunity at committee if there's something that they want to voice that is on the agenda. And we're happy to help arrange that.
What would be an example of that? If someone is not accomplishing whatever it is that they want with their local municipality, they would come to the county commission, or is it?
It depends if it's a city jurisdictional issue or a county jurisdictional issue. Sometimes it's state or federal. Sometimes we'll get a call about something that happens to be FDOT related or another agency, and we'll try to find a contact name and we'll try to facilitate that. And we always tell that agency, please keep us in the loop to make sure that they actually close that loop to make sure that that resident got that information.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Oh, and I will say also, sometimes what people don't realize, we have constitutional offices now. And so for a long time, Miami-Dade County was your Miami-Dade County Police, for the unincorporated mostly, but worked well with all our municipal police agencies. Elections were also part of the Miami-Dade umbrella. The county clerk was not necessarily under our umbrella. They were their own independent office, but now they're a constitutional office, which is a little different. The property appraiser's office is now their own constitutional office, and I'm missing one. Tax collector is now its own office. Thank you. And so what does that mean? They're now state constitutional offices. They're no longer under our umbrella. They are their own independent entities. They are elected. They are overseeing all of the different agencies. But we have great relationships with each of the offices. So again, if a resident has an issue, whether it's their driver's license or homestead exemption issue, or an elections question or voter question, or if they have an issue, with just general, I know one of the ladies was talking about Marine Patrol. We are happy to always facilitate the right people in those different agencies, so you can still call us, and we'll help you get there. But a lot of the issues, ironically, are more related to those than things that maybe in your city would impact them directly by maybe my office.
Okay, that's great. We have more questions, but I think maybe at this time we take some questions from the...
Yeah, before we go to the audience, I have one question, because I think it's important for our audience to hear this. Commissioner Steinberg, I know as a former chief, I had to deal with this concern all the time. And I know you helped work with our municipalities to get legislation out with some of the stuff that's happening at the sandbar and stuff. So if you could just explain to the audience some of the work you've done with this regarding the sandbar and
I'm happy
partnering
to.
with us on that.
So thank you so much for asking that. Yes, it's been a pet peeve of mine, the noise and the rambunctiousness on the waterways, trying to really focus on safety enhancements. So to Manager Noel's point, we had a noise ordinance on the books. Actually, prior to the noise ordinance, I'll give some background. At the county, the way that they would be able to enforce loud noise was by a decibel reader, okay? When I got there, I said, well, that's not necessarily been proven to be the best method, because you have to make sure it's calibrated. How many decibel readers do we have? Are they calibrating it correctly? It seemed, but then it occurred to me that, what held was prima facie, which means without getting too technical, we changed that law and updated it, and we uniformed it. So we were able to now give the tool and toolbox for our law enforcement to be able to curtail some of the noise without needing the decibel reader, right? It was within 100 feet if they could hear it. A couple years went by. That was one of my first pieces of legislation. That and overnight construction noise. Because again, it kept people up and we don't need that. It came to occur to us that, it still wasn't necessarily, it helped a little bit, but it didn't go far enough. And I worked with all our cities, and I had a round table with all of the the police chiefs from each of the municipalities and our Marine Patrol, to kind of a task force to see what else can we do, how else can we help each other, what else can we do to curtail this issue. And then the state passed a law that would actually make the minimum amount from 100 feet to 25 feet for motor vehicles. Okay, and I went, that's our opening. So now we have in process an ordinance. It already passed first reading. It's at committee coming up. You guys should come and speak. I'll let you know when it is. Kevin's here. He's giving his card out to everybody. And now it's going to be 25 feet. We're trying to mimic the state law, but also adopt what we feel is going to make most sense. So for motor vehicles and for vessels on the water, it will now be 25 feet. We work very closely with now manager, former police chief, now manager, on different initiatives. From, one thing we do is we partner with our municipalities for driver's license. We work with our tax collector's office and we bring a mobile unit. We've brought them all over the district. We have one actually upcoming that's going to be at Reynolds Park in North Miami, in the North Miami Beach area, but that's actually unincorporated, that park. We worked on drowning, doing safe programs, teaching people CPR and life-saving skills, and teaching them as the summer rolls around, which I'm sure we'll do another one, reminding people the importance of being water safe. And so we try to partner with our cities and give our resources to help community events as well, right? Can we help sponsor an event with you? Can we help do something that's going to help, alleviate some of the burden for the city, but have something that actually is for the community, for the residents, because that's the most important thing. Again, coming from the local lens, making sure that we're always listening to you all, making sure that we're taking what you need into account, and making sure that we're addressing it if it needs a legislative fix, that we're being very, very practical about how we're going to get it solved.
Are there any questions from the crowd, if anybody would like to ask? Please go ahead.
I don't have a question, I have a statement. Can I read it, please?
Statement.
Good evening, my name is Kathleen Kennedy, 9180 West Bay Harbor Drive. First of all, I want to apologize to my behavior. When I walked in here, I was like a roaring Irish woman, only because I got notified at 6 o'clock that you guys were here. Josh, I apologize to you. Noel, I apologize to you. Most of all, thank you, Izzy, for bringing Mickey here. That was very, very kind of you. We've never had this before. So I would like to read a statement first of all, you enlightened me in a lot of things, and I wish that we knew about it. It should go into a newsletter or something should go out. But first let me read what I'm about to send off to Governor DeSantis through his chief of staff. And it pains me to send this. The subject matter is formal request for review, Bay Harbor Island's governance, infrastructure, and public accountability. Dear Governor Ron DeSantis, I am writing to formally request your office review of ongoing concerns within the town of Bay Harbor Islands relating to governance, infrastructure, oversight, financial stewardship, and public accountability. I write not only as a longtime resident, but also as a mother of a United States Military Academy West Point graduate, which I know you are too. She's a veteran with a deep respect for public service, constitutional principles, and responsible leadership. While I respect the role of local government autonomy, the pattern of issues observed by residents suggests the need for independent evaluation. Several council members have served extensive tenures, in some cases approaching 30 years, excluding Bob Yappick, without term limits or meaning structural checks and balances. In addition, residents have raised concerns about whether governing procedures, rules, and regulations, along with the oath of office sworn by elected officials, are being constantly upheld in both practice and decision making. In the parallel, the town has experienced significant development activity and associated revenue streams, including transfer of development rights, called TDRs, construction-related activities, and bridge tolls, yet continues to report insufficient funding for critical infrastructure such as bridge replacement, sewer improvements, and long-term capital planning. There are also ongoing concerns regarding infrastructure oversight. The existing bridge is widely believed by residents to be structural limited, raising questions about inspection frequency, maintenance standards, and long-term safety planning. I know that goes on, by the way. Due to these limitations, heavy construction has increasingly relied on barge transportation, with our waters being polluted. Videos, which has prompted concerns about potential environmental degradation and declining water quality in surrounding waterways. Residents are also seeking clarity on whether current development patterns, particularly the improvement of higher density and larger scale projects, are alleged with the town's infrastructure capacity and environmental sustainability, or whether they are placing disproportionate strain on both. Of particular concern is the cumulative impact of development on a small island-based community with limited access points. Residents have raised questions about whether adequate consideration is being given to evaluation, planning, emergency access, and overall capacity, especially given the town's geographic constraints. Additionally, increased traffic congestion has created safety concerns for pedestrians, including children, further affecting overall quality of life. Operationally, the town appears to lack adequate municipal facilities, including a traditional city hall, and offers limited public accessibility, including insufficient parking for residents. Questions have also been raised regarding the long-term financial prudence of leasing space for a police department rather than investing in our permanent facility for our police department. Public participation processes have also become a concern. Residents report the opportunities, I'm almost finished. Speak of council meetings are limited in duration and at times prematurely curtailed. These conditions have led to concerns whether residents' First Amendment rights are being fully respected and whether public input is being meaningfully considered. Administrative consistency is another area of concern. There has been sufficient turnover in key roles, including the town clerk positions, and residents have experienced difficulty obtaining public records in a timely and transparent manner. Additionally, questions have been raised regarding the experience and qualifications associated with current administrative leadership. Importantly, there is growing concern within the community regarding potential conflicts of interest and the prioritization of personal or financial benefits over public service. Residents have observed patterns of decision-making that they believe may favor development interests or align with outcomes that do not reflect the broader needs of the community. There are also concerns regarding expenditures related to travel, benefits, and other privileges associated with elected officials, and whether such expenditure are consistent with the town's state financial affairs. Equally important is the impact of development on long-standing residents. There is a perception that increased development pressure has contributed to the displacement of a financial burden of senior residents who have lived in this community for so long and were thrown out of here. This raises questions about whether sufficient consideration is being given to preserving community stability and protecting the vulnerable population. Additionally, residents have expressed interest in greater transparency surrounding election processes, governance practices, and opportunities for broader representation within the town's leadership. At a final point, I would like to note that my daughter, referenced above, is a graduate of a West Point veteran and has served our country with distinction for many years. When visiting and attempting to participate in a local council meeting or efforts to raise concerns regarding quality of transparency, adherence by government rules, she was ignored. This is on video. This has raised further concern about residents are not being afforded a fair and respectful opportunity to engage in civic discourse. It is important to emphasize that these concerns are presented not as conclusions, but as patterns that warrant independent review to ensure that governance, financial decisions making, planning, and development policies are being concluded in a manner consistent with the public interest. Given the scope and consistency of these concerns, I respectfully request that your office consider initiating or directing the appropriate agencies to initiate a formal review of investigations to our town of Bay Harbor Islands. Our community deserves transparency, accountability, and leadership that reflects the best interests of our residents. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Kathleen Kennedy. I have a copy going to Tafiti at Channel 4 and to Kathleen Fernandez-Rondo. Thank you.
Ms. Newhook, did you have something?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kennedy. Hey, so in the interest of time, I know Mrs. Kennedy read a statement, but we want to respect each other's time. This is a Q&A session, question and answer. Please ask a question and we will answer, okay? Q&A.
What's your question?
Well, it's more a statement also, but
Question,
not.
question, please, question, answer your question.
We just got finished with redoing our comprehensive plan for our town. And I went to all the meetings, and there was no it was required to have a public hearing, which we did not have, which is very disturbing when they approved it. And also, one of the things that they mentioned is not helping the multiple problems that we're having. And that is these tax-exempt religions that are coming into our community. And there's a law here that if they are tax-exempt, that they can't be a profit. We have a church here now, 90,000 square feet, tax exempt, and it's profitable. They're making $45,000 a month just on one of the smaller spaces. And in the law, it says if it makes money, which it is, that, and it's our taxpayers' money, that they can take away the exemption. So I know that's not your department, it's probably tax appraiser's office, but I have put in the complaint. But more importantly is, we have a lack of funding, and they're the biggest problem we have. And our school is overcrowded, and we cannot we can't put more schools here, and that's another thing they want to put into these churches, which we have a contract with this church, and they're not allowed to put a school. They're supposed to be promoting on the ground floor businesses, which they're not. They're putting non-conforming usages. And above that, I don't know what they're gonna put, but they're not allowed to put a school. That was the contract. And I noticed with our council, they have breached the contract with the school, with our joint use agreement, and now they're breaching the contract with the church. What I'm trying to say is, we have problems here, but they're not, by what they're doing is not resolving the problems, and they don't allow us to talk, so we're talking to you. And I have to tell you that the last meeting, which really upset me, was the fact that we're preparing for this Live Local. We've got 22 on the table here in the surrounding areas, and we know Bell Harbor, once they get it, all of them can get it, including our town. And we have so many problems, and no bridge to go over, and the fear of being in a flood zone. I hope you can at least talk to people or say something. We're desperate, okay? We're desperate here.
Thank you. I can't really speak to those issues because there's several council members here and we can't really talk to it, but let me turn that into a question for you, okay? Let's ask the commission,
No,
what is
I
your
understand
jurisdiction
this.
when it
Why
comes
would it be a
vis-a-vis
question?
municipalities, whatever it is that, the councils of the municipalities decide, and what override or what jurisdiction do you have and the county have over the decisions of local municipal councils?
Right, so it all varies and depends, but as to Live Local, that would be definitely a state preempted situation, that I'm sure your council is following very quickly. But a lot of these questions, you do have council members here, which is in the city's domain.
Some good ones.
The
Yeah, but you're
municipality.
at the local level. You're
At the
our
local level, right, a lot of the issues are more of your local level issues. We don't necessarily intervene with your local CDMP unless it is in there's what's called a rapid transit zone, which you're not in necessarily. But you did bring up the bridge, and I actually want to say that I have been looking at helping identify funding for the bridge, which is, I think, very important that you need to have happen. And also something I forgot to mention earlier, that I've also worked on updating the county's development standards, procedures, and permitting requirements related to drainage, impervious surfaces, and stormwater infrastructure. So we're trying to work with those agencies because ultimately people have to get certain permits or work with the county on certain respects. And so we're trying to streamline some of those, especially when it relates to the infrastructure, stormwater, because you mentioned flooding, all of those things. So we do work in concert with our cities to make sure that they accomplish those things.
But could you hold it up? In
And if
other
a
words,
resident
if
needs
we have
a
issues-
county permit, would they contact you necessarily if they're having?
No, but they can, and
Okay.
we will let them know. Yes, I mean, they can contact us so we can help navigate and help them facilitate as to where to go in the county permitting district, but I would imagine they would pull a permit with the city of Bay Harbor Islands. There are some things that do trigger a county permit, whether it's Durham,
Right.
which is their own Department of Regulatory department. They obviously, we can't tell them what to do. However, we do inquire and work with them and try to bring it, let's all get everybody in the room at a table and have that conversation and resolve whatever issues might be.
Yeah, but if it's
pending.
endangering our,
Commissioner,
Oh,
I have
right.
a
if
I have
it's
a question for
endangering
you.
my life and.
Hold on, one
people-
second, one
Well,
second.
if there is
Mrs.
something
Moore.
that's life safety, that's a different story. Yeah.
And who takes care
Commissioner,
of that?
hold on, one second. Commissioner, I know on a yearly basis you host a, emergency management meeting
Yes.
with the, you know, all the municipalities during hurricane season. If you can go into that a little bit, I know I've participated in multiple, of those. If you could just tell the community what you do in preparation for the hurricane season, for these municipalities.
Because we're gonna be having those conversations soon, again.
But if
So
we're in
we-
danger right now.
One second, Mrs. Newhouse,
Why
one second.
can't you
Please.
answer, you asked,
One second.
I'm asking her a
Mrs.
question.
Newhouse, one
You
second.
came here.
Mrs. Newhouse, I
She's,
just asked,
you're interrupting
Newhart.
her of my question,
Stop.
and it is, if we're in
Mrs.
danger,
Newhart.
we're coming here because we're in danger.
Mrs.
I'm
Newhouse.
happy,
And
I'm
I'm
happy to sit
asking
down
you
with you
if
right
I-
after
if you
so I
can
can
help
get more
us.
information.
Mrs.
I'm not
Newhouse.
familiar with that particular issue.
One second for
Let
one.
me know.
Sure.
This is a local, this is conversation. Nobody has answered, she hasn't answered my question. Can she help us? We're in danger right now.
If,
and I
if
need
there
your
is a
help.
life safety issue, of course, we will look at making sure that we have the proper, you have our office's card, right? We give
I
it to you.
took it, and I
Yeah,
will
give it to her.
contact.
So contact us so we can
Yes.
better understand what the issue is, and
Okay.
if it's something that rises to
That's the answer.
life safety, of course, we'll get the right agencies to intervene
Thank
if
you.
that is the issue.
That's what I
But
wanted to know.
we're not familiar with your specific concerns, so you'll have to absolutely,
Well, she
give us
read it
some-
off, some of the things that are wrong here, and we're very scared.
There's another.
We're very
Alright,
scared.
So back to
that's
the other
it.
two questions,
Right.
the question I asked earlier, with how
On
you
hurricane.
participate with municipalities.
all right, well, thank you. Okay, so the hurricane meeting that we do, we reach out to every municipality in my district, and we have some leaders of our unincorporated community, along with all the first responders. This is not elected officials that come to this. This is our first responders, managers. We even have different stakeholders from the different utility companies and our emergency management, which is the umbrella emergency management. If there's a crisis, it falls under the county's jurisdiction. And they go through everything that needs, all the information that's vital to make sure that they're giving the information so that your city is best prepared to handle that kind of an emergency. If in the, well, let's hope not, hurricane comes. We hope we do this every year to be so prepared it doesn't bother with us, because
We're not, though.
you never know. Well, so
We're not.
we really have a great team at our emergency management department, and they do an incredible job. We also have someone that comes from the National Weather Service and gives an update. I'm sorry?
You've never seen them.
Right, well, they come, I host
Oh.
a meeting with the first responders
So
of each
they're under your
municipality.
roof?
Yes.
So
Like
we can-
Miami-Dade Fire, for instance, needs
Okay.
to know the protocols, their updated protocols that happen, also the radios and who's in charge of what and where do you go, and it's updating current contact information, because we know sometimes administrations in each municipality can change, right? So maybe after 3 years, it's a different person in charge of the police department, a different person in charge of public works. I mean, you never know. So we do these yearly so that it's not just about us giving the correct information to our municipalities, but it's also so that each of them have the current contact information to ensure that everybody's on the same page, that they know who to call, that they have the updated phone numbers, the updated emails, and so forth. Thank you for bringing that up, because that is something that if there is, God forbid, an emergency, county resources will step in. We are the higher level government. We will help. State comes in, and of course, ultimately the federal government. But hopefully we don't get there, and we are able to have a summer that doesn't necessarily create that. We also have a very crazy big summer with FIFA coming, as I'm sure you've read and heard. So we're going to have a lot of things happening. So, there used to be an off season and an on season, and now it seems like there's no off season.
Should be fine. Well, each
Yeah.
municipality has its own kind of command center when it comes to
Correct.
hurricanes. And so is the county invested in those, or is there a
Yes.
county representative in each of the command centers when it comes to the hurricane?
Yes, so you're correct, each police department has their command center. Some cities have their own emergency management department, like Miami Beach does, City of Miami, but most rely on the Miami-Dade County Emergency Management Department to rely on information or whatever they put out, then your command staff will go ahead and disseminate to your residents, right? They follow that lead. So, for instance, an evacuation order comes from the county, which comes from our emergency management department, which comes from, you know, the information that comes through the National Weather Service in partnership with the state, and so forth.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what the commissioner is saying, she has 13 municipalities. The 13 municipalities are considered satellite locations. We report to, the 13 municipalities are considered satellite locations. We report to Divisional, which is in North Miami, and that Divisional has folks who also report to Miami-Dade County. And that's the chain of command on how we relay information to each other.
Yep, that's correct.
Well, your office is not too far away, it's just over the bridge in,
Yes.
on 123rd
So what, yes,
in North Miami.
it's right in the middle of the district,
Above a great restaurant.
apparently above a great restaurant.
Yes.
And it's right in the middle of the district. I also have a satellite office in Aventura Government Center. And we have a satellite office in Miami Beach City Hall by appointment if someone, you know, we're trying to be accessible. So we try to really find locations that we can literally have that open door. And by the way, the commissioners have met with, we try to have really a great working relationship with everybody because ultimately we're all here working for you all, right? And so we have, I do meetings with my managers from my cities because they sometimes have needs, and I'll bring different department heads so that we work together collaboratively. I'll have meetings with my mayors, I'll have meetings with any member of the public. It's very important that we always, I believe communication is key, and having an open line of communication goes a long way in just trying to figure out and solve whatever issues may arise.
Well, one of the ideas that the town manager shared with me recently is that, you know, we're planning a new a town hall. And we talked about maybe having a kiosk that would be, you know, multifaceted for county issues, just to have for different times, different representatives, whatever it is, that people have questions, they can come in, and we'd have this little kiosk or this little station where they can come in and do whatever it is that, you know, have to ask their questions and whatnot.
And that's great.
Are there any other questions from the crowd? Sure, Dave, you want to ask a question?
Hello, Dave Sanchez. I live here in town.
A little louder?
Oh, is it working now? Okay. Dave here. I lived in town for 21 years, all my life. I just have a couple questions. Firstly, it's in relating to sewage, that we're having an issue where there's any increase in the water bill or the sewage bill. This is a result of something with Miami Beach, and so Bay Harbor, Val Harbor, Surfside, Indian Creek, I think, as well as involved with it's affected by it. We're just gonna, the plan is, or the ideas, or whatever it's gonna be workshopped on, is to transfer the sewage to the North Miami facility. And so I just wanted to understand what does the county do exactly to help facilitate that? Is there funding involved? Is there procedures that are done? And if you are aware of it.
Yeah, so right now, the particular issue you're talking about with the additional charge for Miami Beach, I am not as familiar with, because that's city to city an issue. It's not necessarily us, I don't believe, but I'd have to find out. However, I will say that in terms of if it is coming from one of our outputs or one of our department agencies, like we have water and sewer, WASD, if we service you, then yes, we're involved. And sometimes we help with that cost. If you do your own water or your own wastewater, in Bay Harbor Islands, you do your own wastewater.
No, we ship it out, it goes to the beach, that's the issue. Is
Oh,
Miami
right, because you
Beach-
pass through and
We
you go
pass through
down
there,
through
right.
the, yes, that's
Correct,
correct,
correct.
that's correct.
In Bay Harbor Islands.
Because they're the ones who then output.
Correct.
Back to
Yes,
We
that
pass
is
through
correct.
Miami Beach and we go
Sorry.
to Miami-Dade County for our sewage, and our water is provided by
Yes.
Miami-Dade.
Right, so we provide your water and sewer, so yes, Your what?
The water.
The water. Thank you. Wastewater water, it's a long day. Yes, yes. So in that case, if there's an issue, we can get the department to come and have a conversation and see what needs to be done, understand the,
Very good.
They did. Okay, see? They were proactive, they came out.
Just two more
But if
questions.
there's a specific issue though, with that, let us know if there's something more that needs to be done.
Just two more questions. Firstly, the second question is about traffic. Now, traffic is a high topic, it's a high topic in everyone's priorities when they're running an election. We had an election in Surfside, here we have one as well, that's what we talked about. Harbour was gonna have one in August. And so, I understand that all three municipalities are trying to work to fix with the lights, which is involved in the Department of Public Works, and then you have FDOT because they own the roads. But I'm asking more about what alternative transportation methods we have that the county can provide or that you can work with the county to provide. I understand there was a fix to the business schedule on the bus, now that's something at least, but other manners that are being worked on, especially as we're gonna have new replacement bridge, which will create dedicated lanes for micromobility, if you wanna give a broad term for all of that.
Micromobility, yeah.
So exactly what can your office do, what the county can do to
Okay,
create
so
alternatives?
obviously this is a big issue that we work on, and this could take its own meeting as a matter of fact, because it's such an important issue. Yes, so obviously we provide the bus transportation, right, that's the county, and as you said, we are working on fixing that, and that's really the Department of Transportation, and Public Works. However, we are always looking at putting aside funding for alternative modes of transportation, getting people out of their cars. We are focused on making sure wherever possible, wherever feasible, you have those dedicated bike lanes, those dedicated for micromobility, as you were talking about. They're different. That's an umbrella that can cover many different things. Making sure that we have pedestrian safety as well, and balancing all of that. In terms of the signalization that you were talking about, what I've done, there's two things that I've personally done. One of them is ask the county to make sure that any broken loop, which is basically like the signalization that when your car hits the loop, it sensors it, it's a sensor, and it senses it. How many of them in the district are currently working? How many are not? What is the fix? What is the time to get it done? Like, let's get it done. Who's the responsible party? Sometimes it's a construction that caused the broken loop, so we need to follow them. Sometimes it's a utility, FPL or AT&T or Comcast or whoever is servicing whatever area, and they do the damage, and so we have to like investigate who did the damage, and I'm just like, let's get it done and figure it out after, because we need to get those fixed. We're also looking at, I'm working closely with the director of the Department of Transportation, and we call it DTPW for short. Who, by the way, the director used to be the district secretary for FDOT. So she's very familiar with this area. And you are very uniquely positioned because you have a state road and another state road and then little municipal roads. So you're really in a tough position because you really have to deal with those other agencies. We have worked with FDOT on the signalization and have made sure they understand the unique issues that we're dealing with. We're a barrier island, right? You can't go anywhere. You're at capacity. You need to really make sure. Is it a panacea? Is it going to be the perfect fix? No. But does it help? Yes. And we're looking at not just the 2 lights around here, the 3 lights. We're asking them to do it the entire length from like the mid-beach area in Miami Beach all the way to Sunny Isles Beach, to make sure that they're really looking at that timing properly so that it's holistic, because what happens in one area has that domino effect everywhere else, right? And so we're trying to make sure that we're just thinking more regional. You are thinking about your city. My job is to make sure we're looking through the lens of how are we going to help the whole area and the alleviation of that.
And just last question. I know the county has a program for condo association reimbursements. Have that been restored, or how's the progress on that?
It's like they're reading my mind of the things I'm like, oh, what else should I say?
Did I miss
So
something?
how many of you here are condo dwellers? How many of you live in a condo? Okay. So I'm very proud of our condo special assessment loan program, for those of you who aren't aware. Right now, it's on a pause because they have to streamline the program, make sure they're truly helping those in need, and also making sure that they're gonna have it automated. Because right now, it's very cumbersome with a lot of paperwork, so they're trying to make it an automated system, online, make it easier for people. So for those of you who don't know, and by the way, my district obviously is very condo heavy, but the special assessment program, the loan program, will actually give you a loan up to $50,000
Gave me one.
for, at 0% interest for owner occupied units. And you have to be your homesteaded unit. It can't be an investment, it has to be your actual home. And the repayment is over 40 years, and there's, you know,
10 years.
eligibility requirements. You have to be in good standing, you can't have any liens, you can't be late on your, you know, but we can also work with you if you have any other issues. And so the program should hopefully start up again this summer. I'm pushing because I think it's so important, especially with the cost of living today. Anything that we can do to help alleviate that, you know, we do. Like our families are, you know, struggling, and we want to make sure that those who are working hard can also make sure that they too have a security of where they're living, and there are a lot of different onerous things that come down on people. We want to make sure that whatever we can do to help, we can.
What about small business loans as well?
Thank you. Yeah, we just finished our small business. We also
It's a window, it's a time
It's
window,
a time
correct?
window. We just closed it. We do our small business loans, our mom and pop grants. We think it's so important. It's such a part of our ecosystem, the small businesses. And we want to make sure that they can thrive and survive. And so we do a program for the small businesses. Yeah. And I appreciate, you know, listen, I appreciate all the questions. I appreciate all of you coming here. I thank you so much, Commissioner, for
Thank you.
inviting me. I think it's so wonderful that I have this opportunity. I get
Thank you
to
for
see
being
you all
here.
again.
Thank you
and
for being
of
here.
course.
I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I want to thank the mayor and my fellow council members and the town manager for arranging this, for my fellow council members for their support. This is the second time that we've done this. We started with Sheriff Rosie, and we'd love to have more of our elected officials come out and have you again.
Yeah, I would love to come. By the way, I do a Mondays with Mickey series where we, you know, again, bring the government closer to the people, so maybe we can do it on Monday.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Huh?